Hi everyone! Today I will be sharing with you how to create Harley Quinn and the Joker's look from Suicide Squad. All the products used are available at SASA and we're also having a giveaway, so stick till the end or open up the description boxes to see how you can enter. So starting with a clean face, I'm first using the Chosunga 22 Real Cheek Smoother in the shade Lilac Drop to color correct my face. For my foundation, I'm using the Nouba Staminal Foundation in the shade 101. Make sure to blend down to your neck as well as your ears. I'm actually going to put on a few layers of foundation to make sure I look pale. To seal my foundation, I'm using the Nouba Magic Powder in the shade 19. For brows, I'm using the Cybercolors 24-Hour Eyebrow Duo in the shade Brown. I really like this eyebrow pencil. To be honest, I've been using it on a daily basis. Even though Harley has blonde hair, she still has pretty dark brows, so I'm using the Chosunga 22 Brow Maker in the shade Black Brown to coat my eyebrows. Now it's time for the eyes. I'm using Gosh 9 Shades eyeshadow palette in the shade to play with in Vegas. First, I'm taking the red shade and putting this all over my lids as well as my lower lash line. Next, I take the darkest pink shade and putting this on the outer corners of my eyes as well as the outer lower lash line. With an angled brush, I'm picking up the darkest pink and drawing streaks down my eyes. Once I'm done, I blend it all out with the same pink shade. To darken up the eyes, I'm using Cybercolors Swan Lake eyeshadow palette in the shade Deep Rothbart, and I'm using the black eyeshadow to put this all over the outer corners of my eyes. I'm also using the black shadow and putting it all over my lower lash line to make it look more smoky and dark. Once we're done blending, let's move on to the next side. So for the other eye, I'm taking the lightest blue shade and putting it all over my lids as well as all over my lower lash line. Similar to the other eye, now I'm taking the darkest blue shade and putting it on the outer corners of my eye. And then with an angled brush, I'm using the darkest blue shade and creating streaks as well. Blend out the streaks and darken the eye look with the same black eyeshadow. Next, I'm going to line my eyes using the Cybercolors 24-Hour Eyeliner Duo, and I'm using the pen side. I'm also taking the pen eyeliner from before and putting it all over my waterline. And then I curl my lashes and put on some fake eyelashes before I go in with a mascara, and I'm using the Cybercolors Feather Tutu Magic Mascara. Now it is time for contour, and I'm using the Bahama Mama bronzer. And I'm just going to slightly shade my nose as well as my jawline. Then I'm taking the same eyeliner and I'm going to draw on Harley's tattoos. lids, I'm using Nouba's lipstick in the shade Passion. Next, put on your costume and the look is completed. Now let's move on to the Joker's look. First, I'm taking a clear eyelash glue and putting it all over his eyebrows to conceal them. Next, I'm using the Chosenga 22 Real Cheek Smoother in the shade Lilac Drop to color correct his face. For foundation, I'm also using the Nouba Staminal Foundation in the shade 101. Since I'm not using any concealer, I'm just going to use this foundation to go over his brows again and again until it is concealed. Once we're done with foundation, it's time to seal everything in again with a loose powder. Now for the eyes, I'm using a matte brown shade, and this is the Bahama Mama bronzer from the In the Balm of Your Hand palette, and putting it all over his lids as well as a lower lash line or low part of his eyes. This is just going to act as a base for the darker shadows we're going to put on later on. Next, I'm going to layer on the shade Sexy all over his lids as well as his lower lash line. To darken up the whole look, I'm using the same black eyeshadow that I used for Harley all over his lids as well as lower lash line. Feel free to darken up or lighten up the look to your preference. Next, I'm taking Nouba's lipstick in the shade Passion, which is a hot red shade, and I'm just going to apply this all over his lower lash line. Now that we're done with the eyes, I'm using Cybercolor's 24-Hour Eyeliner Duo Pen Side, and I'm just going to draw on his scars as well as face tattoos. For his lips, I'm using Nouba's lipstick in the shade Passion. I'm taking the black eyeshadow from before and I'm just patting it all over his lips so it looks darker. Now it is time for contour. I'm using the Bahama Mama bronzer from the In the Balm of Your Hand palette and contouring his face and jawline. Now that we're done with both looks, it's time for the giveaway. So all you have to do is head over to SASA's Facebook page, like and share this video, and comment below what are you dressing up as this Halloween. And you'll stand a chance to win a mysterious bag. So I wish you all a very good luck, and I'll see you very soon in my next one. All the products used are available at SASA, so make sure you check them out in stores for amazing promotions. Bye!